Today, Thursday, June 9th, we got another Tarkov TV from BSG, which is just where they go on Twitch and they stream. And Nikita talks about everything with the game and what's upcoming, specifically this time the Lighthouse patch. Now, they revealed a ton of stuff, but Nikita wasted no time talking about Wipe. And this is something he hasn't done this in a while. He hasn't actually said it's going to wipe like he did today. And that's what he did. He said the game's going to wipe with the Lighthouse patch. But here he is in his own words.
Guys, for those who keep asking about Wipe, there will be Wipe with the patch. When will be the patch? We don't know yet. It's almost ready. We need to polish it. So let's just wait for the pre-wipe events and everything.
So with that, we can now be sure of it. Though I think based on the poll that I shared on YouTube the other day, most of the community was already there anyways. But they covered a ton of stuff in this. This is going to be kind of a long video just because there is so much to go over, including some things that nobody was expecting. Everything from the rogue bosses and where they're going to spawn, and it's not where you think it is. The new 338 Lapua weapon, offline co-op mode, changes to how NVGs function, some amazing looking animations, and so much more. We do take a little longer to get our videos like this out, but that's because we do our due diligence to make sure we don't give you guys bad information and send you down a wrong path. It really bothers me when I see people get let down or upset at BSG or the game unnecessarily. There is plenty of legitimate criticism and stuff to throw at BSG and Tarkov if you want, but causing people to get spooled up over a non-issue or a BS topic because I got something wrong is something I never want to do. Because of that, we don't rush to beat other people out of the gate with these videos. We get the info right, and that just takes a little extra time. So I'm happy you're here watching, and I hope you appreciate our approach because that's how I answer questions like, when is the wipe actually? Even with today's podcast, we don't know. We know it's with the Lighthouse patch, but we don't know the date yet. I'm hopefully optimistic that it's next week, but it could be longer. It seems like they might have some issues with the patch they're trying to get resolved and final or polished, as Nikita said, and we're just gonna have to wait till that's ready. We'll have a really good idea once the pre-wipe events start, but that's about it, shy of Nikita coming out and actually giving us a date, which I don't expect him to do. Now, the rest of the podcast was kind of a shit show, to be honest. It wasn't like it was bad, but they had technical issues. There were some funny mistakes, things they were having with, and apparently a few reveal videos that Nikita didn't like. We were supposed to get shown something with the Scav bosses, some kind of video showing them in action or fighting, I don't know exactly, but Nikita said he's not showing to us because he didn't like it. So because of that, he said they might redo it and show it to us in a couple of days or something, or we might just have to wait till the patch and the wipe to see him for ourselves. So that was kind of a letdown. I was looking forward to see him, but at the flip side, that means it's going to be a super surprise when we do get to see him with our own eyes. But with that, he revealed something that I don't think anybody was expecting. The rogue bosses are not going to be confined to water treatment plant, nor even Lighthouse as a map itself.
So the bosses will be only on a single location, in a specific time, in specific like period of time. So we'll need to find them actually. To like sometime during the day they will be only on customs. Sometime they will be only on Lighthouse, and this is the concept.
Apparently, they're going to be roaming bosses around the world itself. They'll be on multiple maps. He only mentioned customs and Lighthouse, so we don't know if they're going to be on all maps, a couple. We'll just kind of have to wait and see. But that their spawns are going to be specific times. So kind of like cultists only spawn between, what, 2200 and 05, I think, or maybe it's 06. I don't remember off the top of my head. Like, that's the only time cultists can spawn. It sounds like rogues, and we don't know what the times are going to be yet. This is just me making stuff up to make a point. Like, rogues will only spawn on customs between 09 and 1200 in game time. And then from 1200 to 1500, they will spawn on Lighthouse. That's just an example. Again, that's not what Nikita said, but I think that's what he was getting at. So very, very interesting. It's going to bring a different dynamic, especially when it comes to choosing maps. As far as if you want rogues or don't want rogues, you're risking running into them. Now, BSG loaded into an offline raid in their development version, I'm guessing, and it didn't go very smoothly. Dimitri had some issues staying alive and just some lag and some other things, but we did get to see some footage of the G36. Apparently some stock sites that come with it that just suck, like really bad. And Nikita said that's how they are in real life, but they're really cheap. So yeah, we also got a peek at the RD704, which is Rifle Dynamics 7.62x39 rifle, as well as the new Benelli shotgun, which will have both semi-auto pump action and semi-automatic like an MP153 or 155. I think that's kind of like extra superfluous stuff. I don't know what function. Maybe there's a lower jam rate with the pump action. I don't know. Either way, that's going to be part of the Benelli. And then various flares, you know, ones that are going to call the planes in and ones that look like they don't necessarily do anything specific yet. Nikita mentioned they'd be used for tasks. And then eventually a small portion of the Lighthouse Island we saw as well. Now, I expanded a little bit on the flares and their colors and what they mean. The red flares are going to call in airplanes. And apparently we're going to get multiple types of crates now. There's going to be 4 types. The first one's a common crate, which I guess is what we've been seeing. Just kind of has a little bit of everything in it. There's going to be weapons crates that have weapons and attachments and probably ammo. He didn't say ammo, but I'm assuming it'll have ammo in it. Supply crates, which I don't know what that has, if it's going to be like the supply crates we have in the game, you know, barter items, things like that. And then a med crate that'll have meds and foods. Those will be the 4 kinds that can drop with the airplanes. Now, hopefully they look different so you can kind of tell before you run up what you're getting to. So you're not running in the middle of an open field, super risky for, you know, some apple juice and a cheese, you know, an AI2 cheese med kit. But we'll just have to wait and see. Now, as far as the other flares, the ones that are multicolored, he said they don't do anything yet. They're going to be for quests that are going to be later. I don't know if he means that's the storyline quests for like 1.0 or if they're going to add tasks later that they're going to be involved in. Either way, they don't do anything. But he did mention one that was really interesting to me, and that was, he said there's a light one, which I don't think he means like light, like it's lightly colored. I think he means light, like light up. Which, so you could use it at night to use a flare to light up a dark area at night. And this has a ton of tactical stuff as far as players that are going to be fighting cultists, or if you think you're fighting a player as NVGs, you can completely blind them with this and kind of even the playing field a little bit. Now, speaking of NVGs, we got a super cool change here. One that I'm really excited about, that it brings in the realism side of stuff with how stuff works in real life. And that is using IR frequency tactical devices with NVGs. So this is IR flashlights and lasers, things that you can't see with your naked eye, but as soon as you flip your NVGs on, they show up. And with lasers, that's kind of cool, right? You can have a laser that nobody else can see, but you can on NVGs, or at least another player with NVGs will be able to see. But the flashlight one is huge because quite literally, it is a flashlight that with your NVGs flipped up, you won't see anything. But when you flip them down, it'll light up even more. Because NVGs aren't perfect. They do have dark spots. They kind of adjust their gain and stuff when you're looking at different sections. So with that, it just brings more options and more coolness and immersion to the game that I'm really looking forward to that change. Now back to that Lighthouse clip where they walked through the island. We didn't see a great deal. I think by design, they didn't want to show us a bunch. They just kind of walked through. We saw a couple of rooms, things like that. And you'll be able to go out there for free. Apparently, there's going to be some kind of special event. The lighthouse will close again, and you'll only be able to access it through a special access. So I don't know if that means keys, cards, who knows what, tasks. There's any number of things they could do to require you to be able to get out to the island. And the raid ended essentially with Dimitri stepping on a landmine that one hit killed him, which is interesting bit of information by itself. But he did it as he was approaching the lighthouse itself. He didn't actually get to the building lighthouse. He died. And this leads to one huge thing. Nikita completely avoided talking about the Lightkeeper, the trader, or anything. His guard, Scav boss, sniper guard. None of that was mentioned in the entire podcast. And this points back to one of my videos I did a little while ago about the event where Tagilla and Killa went to Lighthouse. There was a letter from Tagilla. And in that letter, he says the Lightkeeper's gone, his guard's gone, but Lighthouse is open and we'll be able to loot it. And it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. I believe that means that we're not getting Lightkeeper or the trader with this patch. Technically delayed, whatever reason, he's pushed off. But Lighthouse, the island, is going to be opened up for us to explore in this free state, essentially. Now, if you want to see more information about that, how I got to that conclusion, go check out that video. I talk about it there. It's pretty short, but I think that's where we're headed. And the lack of any mention of him in this podcast, TarkovTV podcast, kind of reaffirms that for me. Now, we got tons of little reveals and tidbits of information as well. They showed us FSR, which is AMD's version of DLSS. So you'll have that if you have AMD graphics cards and stuff. A 7.62x54R break action rifle. So it's a one-shot rifle, open it, reload it, kind of like the double barrel shotgun, but instead of 2 shots, 1. Probably going to be a scav gun, kind of a meme gun, but very interesting because it is still powerful because it's 7.62x54R. And then they showed us a quick bit of footage about the MGL, kind of shooting it, which it looks terrifying to shoot and be shot at with. And then it said that it's going to be lootable off a big pipe, and it's the only place you're going to get it. It won't spawn anywhere. It won't be on the flea market. Won't spawn anymore like mark circles, I don't believe. Won't be on the flea market, won't be on a trader, no barter, nothing like that. So you're either gonna have to get it from Big Pipe or a player killed Big Pipe. So they should be pretty rare. And then they also showed us the bolt action 338 Lapua round, which is awesome. I've been wanting that. It's gonna make shooting bolt actions pretty cool. And they said they're adding a suppressor for it, which will also go on the Mjolnir, the Thor's hammer gun. I can't say it right. Another very interesting quick thing they showed us is he threw out a couple of guns, but specifically in 1911, they threw on a sewer plate. It made a clanking sound. It made a metal sound. Because right now you throw out stuff other than a backpack off your back, it doesn't make any sound. It just hits the ground and it's quiet.
Ладно.
О, пистолет есть.
Пистолеты есть. Ну, отлично.
Вот даже раз.
So it looks like they're going to address that. Now, like I said, the other items didn't make any sound, but it might have been the surface, it might have been buggy, hard to say. Hopefully it's ironed out and working. I think it's awesome. It's more immersion. Just a cool little bit that they added. BSG is also adding an additional non-lootable slot next to where the compass is. 2 actually, so there'll be 3 total. And you'll be able to put a compass in there, a rangefinder, and eventually radios, which are something that's gonna be added down the road apparently. One really cool thing they're adding is Scav Tasks, like actual tasks for your Scav. They're on fence, it looks like. Don't know when you get them, but you'll complete them with your Scav, and it provides fence rep items, the whole 9 yards, just like your PMC tasks do. This might seem small and like kind of not a very big deal, but it could be huge for helping folks that are struggling with negative Scav karma because we get another Santa event or something. Now, the next thing is a huge ask by the community. It was co-op mode, offline co-op mode, so you can play with your friends and learn. They are adding this, but it's got a pretty interesting twist. You're only going to be able to get it if you have EOD. It's going to operate on BSG servers, so it's not technically an offline raid, but it doesn't save progression or anything like that, just like offline raids do. It'll be available for, Nikita says he thinks up to 11 players, so he wasn't sure. 11 sounds meant like 11 other people, so maybe 12 total, 1 plus 11. It might be 11, it might be 10, hard to say. Specifically, it's quite a bit though, so it's not just limited to 5. So this makes a lot of interesting avenues open up for the game. Not just being able to bring your buddies in and show them where things are at and kind of teach them the maps and spawns, but also think about all things like tournaments, special events, or places for content creators to test things with more than a couple people and in a more controlled environment. This is all going to be available now on a server. Now, we don't know if it's going to have ping locks. Again, maybe they'll make it to where like the guy that is hosting it has to have EOD. It's hard to say. It doesn't look like that now. So if you don't have EOD, it looks like you're going to be up Tough Creek at least for a while. Now, since I've been running my suck for a while here, it's time to wind this recap down a little, but there's still a few more real important things to talk about. We got a long clip or series of clips showing a slew of new animations. The first one shows how different weapon sizes based on slot, like grenades, pistols, 2-slot weapons, 4-slot weapons, 5, and 7, I think is what they showed, all affect how your character animates, which leads me to believe it also affects how fast they can move. So bigger guns have the potential to slow you down, and smaller guns, you can run faster than with bigger guns. And with this, there was a bunch of new movement animations as far as walking, leaning, your characters are gonna lean when they're sprinting around now, and other stuff on top of weapon actions while running. You can kind of game the system a little bit, and you can reload while running. You just got to stop, reload, and then start running again, things like that. This all means you're going to be able to do things like unfold stocks, reload, cycle, weapon speed, like the actual animation, all that stuff while you're sprinting. There is a command in the game right now to unfold or fold your stock. It's defaulted L plus Alt L, I believe, but this may find a new spot on my keyboard if these changes are as impactful as I think they might be. We also got a ton more information about Arena. Nikita answered a bunch of questions that I think he was reading in chat. I'm not quite sure. But the closed beta is going to pick players primarily out of the ETS server, it looks like. The more active ETS people is what he said, which is their test server. But that they might invite others. And to me, that says, hey, wouldn't be surprised if Landmark or Willer Z or some of these other more aggressive PvP players get invited, because they can really push the system to its limit and give feedback. And if you don't like that, I don't know what to say. It's just kind of how this stuff goes. Now, Arena, like they've said, is going to be a separate game, but there's going to be built-in features into the original EFT game so that you can quickly switch back and forth between them. And he let us know how many maps there's going to be. They want to have lots of maps. It's going to release with 5 or 6. Mostly small ones, but maybe 1 or 2 medium, he said. So I'm not exactly sure what that means. The start of the testing is only gonna have 3 or 4. But like I said, they want to add a ton more locations. They're gonna have night and day modes, as well as there's inside and outside maps. So it's gonna be pretty broad as for what we're gonna have to play on Arena. And he also said there's gonna be a spectator mode, so you'll be able to just go watch, which I think is cool. I don't know if you're gonna like have cameras or if you're gonna be like one of the scavs standing on the sides like we saw in the trailer. But more importantly, I think he said that there's gonna be 2 teams, red and blue team. Now, where does that come from? Some serious nostalgia there and some pretty good opportunities for some content. So that's kind of, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I kind of hope it was. Nikita also reiterated something that he said a while ago, and that the servers for Arena will be higher tick rate than the ones for the regular game. He said 100 or more, but I wouldn't treat that number as gospel. It kind of sounded like it was flipping it off the top of his head. So once we get more information about that, it'll be good to know. And if you don't know what that means, tick rate just kind of is how fast the servers talk with your computer. So higher tick rate servers, they're more expensive, more complicated, but you have less desync and lag kind of stuff with them. Now, there will be arena specific tasks, as this is part of how you apparently unlock more kits and gear. But there isn't any crossover necessarily between the two games specifically. Nikita did say that there are tasks in the game that are related to the arena, but I think that's more like lore related. It's not like you actually have to go into the arena and do a task for the game, because that wouldn't make sense since it's a separate game. So we'll have to see if we can get a little bit more clarification there. Now, apparently the announcer or the host is going to tell you what to do as far as, you know, if you need to extract the map or there's certain objectives or different kinds of game modes. That's kind of what it sounds like. And if you decide not to fight or hide or not listen or not do what you're supposed to do in the game mode, there's a chance for a cleanup squad or something that'll come hunt you down and kill you. And he said it in Russia, so I think he was joking. I'm pretty sure he was joking, but he said it'd be like kill an arm to the teeth. So yeah, have fun withstanding that inside a small space like arena. He expanded a little bit on loot on the map, but not a lot. It sounds like there'll be some loot, but it's going to be gear specific, you know, weapons, ammo, meds, things like that. And that there will be no secure container. So just more systems we're kind of getting bits and pieces to. He did specifically state that the mechanics are exactly like EFT. So that means the physics, you know, inertia, ballistics, the health system, the gunplay, all of that is exactly the same as Tarkov. There won't be anything special in the arena. And he did mention that there's going to be the ability to have custom matches, though he said it's not designed yet. It's something that they want to do, they're going to do, they just haven't got there. So I don't know if we'll see that in a test. Hopefully it's with release, because I think that'll be a cool thing for people to set up all sorts of funny scenarios, you know, kind of like you do with other games and stuff when you do custom matches. Now, back to the gear side of things, he says it's going to be presets and cards that you unlock to get these different kits, and that'll be done through the progress and play in the arena. He did mention that if you have the main game, there was going to be a way for you to take your character from there and their kit and bring it into the game, but I don't think that's exactly what he meant. To me, it strikes it more as like that's how you're gonna be able to build presets, or maybe as a cosmetic thing. Because honestly, that raises more questions than answers. Things like, if you lose your gear in arena, do you lose it in the main account? You know, how do you deal with consumables? You know, all of that kind of stuff with how those are going to interact. So we'll just have to get more info on that, hopefully down the road. But they did confirm there is a PvE mode again, as they mentioned before. And this is going to allow you to do fun stuff, hopefully like fight Killa, Tagilla, or all the Scav bosses with your buddies, you know, various things like that. And he did mention one thing that kind of tipped me over. I didn't even think of it. Somebody asked a question that I thought was awesome, that there's going to be a wager/gambling mode, which is super, super interesting because it brings a whole new meaning to 1v1 me, bro. Now, moving on past arena, he did mention streets and how the team right now is hard at work at optimizing it so that it is actually playable, which is something that I think most of the player base is concerned about with a map of this scale and size. He said it won't be too long for the wait for the first iteration, which I think means they're sticking with their original idea of, you know, releasing the first iteration before autumn, which is September. He said, and I quote, that Streets is the most complex location in the history of gaming. It isn't the first time he's said this directly or hinted at it through other comments either. He's talked about in the past how he believes that Streets, the map itself, is going to change how the entire gaming industry can look at map design and set the bar higher. He believes it's even more complex than maps like GTA 5. Though there is probably some subjective stuff there, you know, whether you're talking size or number of rooms, however you want to define complexity. So I think that just gives some more oomph to what it is actually the scale of what Streets is going to be. And these are monumental statements. They could be complete bullshit. I don't think they are. I believe Nikita, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. But that's pretty much it. We'll wind it up there. It was a lot. Nikita even said he didn't show us everything because like they always do, they like to surprise us with a patch with new stuff that we weren't expecting. We may see some stuff in the patch notes and we'll talk about that when we do finally get them. But with that, I'll end with Nikita because he says it best.
Yes, like the wipe is soon. There will be wipe. Stop asking this question, please. Сайт лежит, короче, вот неподготовленным вот в этом вопросе оказались, конечно. Ну,